what I had experienced in my early childhood could not be ignored
How did you grow up?
by myself. They tried to love, but I don't know that either parent knew how to. When I was 27, my partner died. All of my past traumas just started to march right in. I was angry. That anger propelled me to start to really look at grief. Each part of the pain became a lesson. The abusers, if they knew to do what they did, something had been done to them.
Yes.
Grief can be one of your greatest teachers. Within you, there is magic. Honor it. It belongs to you.
Welcome to the Living a Life and Balance podcast. My name is Abdullah Bulat. I'm the founder and CEO of the Balance Rehab Clinic. My guest today is Edie Nathan, therapist for grief, trauma, and sexuality. In this episode, Edie shares how early experiences with trauma and the devastating loss of her partner at 27 became the catalyst for her life's work. We dive into the different types of grief and why it's never something we simply get over, but something we learn to live alongside and dance with. We discuss her pioneering work in theater and drama therapy and why the creative arts therapies are an incredibly powerful way to release grief and trauma. I hope you will enjoy. Edie,
Yes.
what motivated you to do what you do today?
It's a very crowded room.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring with me my ancestors and my family stories and my lineage. And it can't be ignored. And what I had experienced in my early childhood could not be ignored.
Mm-hmm.
And it matters less what I went through and more about how each part of the pain became a lesson and an awakening. And okay, so I know that there's going to be more, and I wonder what else there is. And I started with theater, and I loved theater because I could mask, because I could go into characters, and I could not be me. I didn't have to be Edie. And when I got into the theater world and I went to school for theater, when I'm in New York and I'm auditioning and I'm doing off Broadway, and I hated it because it was so gamey. And that was the realization. You're going to have to change your whole perspective. And so that was part of the beginning of this work and of taking on the shadows and the shadow work. And then when I was 27, my partner died. And we did theater together. And when he died, I had nowhere to go. And people kept saying, "You're young, you'll find someone." And it was like all of my past traumas just started to march right in. And I was angry. And that anger propelled me to start to really look at grief. What is grief? How do I want to write about it? How do I want to define it? And I wasn't thinking I was going to be talking about other parts of grief, like the traumatic imprint or sexuality, and that was kind of the path that I ended up taking. But it started with loss.
Loss at the age of 27.
Yeah, loss at the age of 27. That was the awakening loss to the past losses.
Yeah.
There's an awakening moment, right?
Yes.
And that awakening moment, I often say, I talk about this magnet that I have in my refrigerator, and it's a pirate's chest. And there's a little button on that chest, and you press the button and there's a knock, knock, knock. And then a minute later it says, "Let me out of here." And whatever I had experienced and swallowed and put away all of a sudden began to tumble out, and it was, "Let me out of here."
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think if the death of your husband would not have happened at that age, would the historical trauma would have come up at some point?
Probably, but it might have been it was manifested physically for me when I was young. I
Mm,
gained a lot of weight. That was
mhm,
my protection.
mhm,
Um, and probably that I would have stayed more
mhm,
bounded
mm,
by the protections of my body.
yes.
And when he died, um, and I started to get the knock, knock, knock,
Mhm,
then the weight fell off, and my work began within myself
yes.
and around grief.
Mm,
Like, I define grief as, what are you yearning for? What are you
mhm,
hungry for? Because there's something that's missing.
mhm,
And I needed to find the different aspects of myself that were missing.
mhm.
So,
Did anything else happen during your childhood or young adulthood which has shaped you?
so where do we begin?
I have time.
I say that, and yes, I was terribly bullied.
Mhm,
My father was a sociopath, narcissist,
mhm,
and they had my brother do their dirty work. And what that might have looked like was I was teased at school, I was teased at home, so there was no respite.
yeah.
So pain was love. Like, I
Mhm,
just, if I could get to the pain, at least I was feeling something instead of nothing.
yeah.
Um, and then gaining weight and being a survivalist, and at 9 realizing that little girls could be cruel and they could also be abusers.
Mm,
So my abusers were not men or
mm,
boys, but girls. And so that frame kept me distant from the feminine
mhm.
and safer with the masculine.
Wow.
Yeah. And so took me quite a few years to get to a place where I could be friends with women
I see.
and feel safe. But I had just this,
Mhm,
the safety must come from within me. You
mm.
don't have the ability to give me any sense of safety. It's got to come from me first.
But
Um,
were there other people helping in this moment,
no,
providing
I
you
did
this
not.
safety?
I never told.
Never
Not
told
until I was
anyone.
30.
Wow.
I held that secret in until I was 30. Yeah.
Mm,
And now I want to talk about it because it is those secrets
mhm.
that we as clinicians work with.
Later in your life, you met your husband.
Hmm.
Was it difficult for you to connect with man because of what happened to you at 9 years?
Connection is a funny word
Mm-hmm.
because it could mean so many different things. I think I wanted to be in power, and I
Mm,
found ways to have power with men, with my husband, it was, he was, he traveled a lot. He was in the theater. Um, and mm, I was very boundary ridden, I
mm-hmm.
would say,
Yeah.
you know? So we connected in that he actually, he taught me about being lovable,
Mm,
and he taught me about collaboration and he taught me about my body and sexuality and and how to have pleasure,
Mhm.
um, and making the sky the limit. Like your body, he would say, your body is your queendom and your kingdom,
Yeah.
and you use it however you want.
Mhm.
And so
Queendom, I like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so he helped you to accept yourself also.
Yeah, to accept, to integrate, to love the different aspects of myself that I had,
Mm.
you know, that I couldn't be lyrical with, that
Mhm.
I, that I wanted to hide. I mean,
Mhm.
for the longest time, I just wore long dresses, and I
Mm.
tried to I didn't wear pants, and I
Yeah.
didn't was I wore heavy, heavy makeup, and he was like, you don't need to do
Mm.
that. You don't need to shroud yourself.
Was he your safety
He
net?
was very much my safety, and he traveled, like, the first was kind of like it's a heartbreaking, but he traveled the first year
Mm-hmm.
we were in partnership, and the last year he was dying.
Mm.
So it was truly um, it was a whirlwind of meeting, loving,
Mm-hmm.
and dying, and loving him in the dying,
Mm-hmm.
and, hmm, and collaborating and being in alliance with him
Mm-hmm.
in his deathing. It's the most intimate thing.
Mm.
It he sent me off with the intimacy of a loving death.
Yeah. What did you lose when he has gone?
I have so much of him in me.
Mm-hmm.
His I still hear his laughter, and I miss it.
Mm.
I still feel his touch, and I miss it. And I'm married, and I
Mm-hmm.
love the man I'm married to.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a second husband in between all of that. In a first love, you never have that first love again.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's the missing of the first love and knowing where we would have landed. Because
Mm-hmm.
I kind of can't imagine that.
Yes.
I only know what I know. But he left me in very good shape in terms of my soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that soul, it every bit of work I do, he's with me.
Mm-hmm.
I still have his Timex watch, and it's a winding watch, and I travel with it. And when I want to feel him or hear him, I wind the watch.
Yes.
And I think we all need to have pieces
Mm-hmm.
of past loves, people who we've lost. And maybe it's a timepiece or whatever it is, but it's emblematic of the the psychological, the psyche, the lover, the sovereignty,
Mm-hmm.
the cherished love.
In the meantime, you had two other men.
Mm.
So what does this watch remind you to, or in what state or emotional state
It can be
does it
anything.
bring?
Sometimes just when I'm going to speak on grief,
Yes.
my grief journey began with him. And
Yeah.
so it's like, thank you, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wind you. I'm going to listen to the watch as your heartbeat. And I'm
Mm.
going to remember what you taught me in
Yes.
your death.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
So it's and certainly my current husband, he knows the watch, he sees the watch,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it can't be a secret. It must it's part of who I am as I entered into my
Mm-hmm.
relationships. So it's know me and kind of know Paul. know the people I've lost.
Mm-hmm.
That even though my relationship with my mother was complicated, my husband knows my mother, never met her, but knows her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being able to bring her or the people I've lost to the people I love,
Mm-hmm.
then they know my room. They understand who walks with me. They understand when I walk into a room, it's not just me. It might be my mother, or it might be Paul, or it might be my abusers.
Mm-hmm.
Because the abusers, if they knew to do what they did, something had been done to them.
Yes.
And so I must honor whatever happened to them
Mm.
and hold them and carry them. And I do, very much so.
Did you ever forgive them?
So I actually had a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with one of them, only one, and she came to me. I was 36 years old, and she
Wow.
apologized. And I have chills. And sadly, she ended up overdosing. But what she carried
Mm.
and her apology was so sincere.
Mm.
I wish it could have given her more life. Because to be able to say I'm sorry and to talk about it and to remember it, 36 years, I mean, yeah, it's like, wow. So I of course, I said, I am sorry that you've held this
Mm-hmm.
for so long, you know. And we talked about it.
That's beautiful.
It was. So talk about the fracture and the
Mm-hmm.
repair. I hold no guile because I can't even imagine what was going on in the secrets of each of their homes.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, but let's say I prefer not to. Mm?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mentioned before also that when your husband, 27, died, this had brought up all the trauma
That's
you
right.
have experienced as a child. So what have you done with it? Did you get treatment at first, or what happened then?
I tried to find treatment
Mhm.
around the grief.
Yes.
Um, it was hard to find. There were just too many people giving too many platitudes
Mm.
of, you'll get over it. You're young. There didn't seem to be like a process or anything that I could go to. As the other things began to come up, I yes, I went to groups. I went
Mhm.
to therapy. I tried different therapies. I also became terribly phobic. And I would say that agoraphobia, where it was very hard for me to even leave my house, go down a flight of stairs,
Mm.
um, which impacted so much of my life and also changed my life, but it really in a good way. I, that I had dealing with the anxiety, NLP, neurolinguistic programming,
Yes.
hypnosis, um, guided imagery. I was terrified to take medication, so I didn't until I did, and it just took enough of the edge off
Mhm.
until I could do it myself.
Mhm.
And and that's why, as a clinician, I want to have so many different
Mhm.
tools. They're not
Yes.
really tools. They're gifts.
Mhm.
Yeah, available because there's a lot that's walking into the room, and
Mhm.
so I again, not one size fits all. One, and also as we move and dance and partner with the healing or with the obstacles or with whatever we're faced, the agitations, the lover within us, that our needs are different and they change through time, right? Psychodrama, I fell in love with psychodrama and started to do mask work. And I did it for myself first. And then as the more I did it, the more I loved it. I became a drama therapist, drama with a D. And from there, just realized that the beauty of puppetry and the beauty of the nonverbal to elicit that which had no words. Because when the child is wounded, there aren't necessarily the words, but through the expression of the mask that can have words or drawings, or the puppet that gets to have an expression, and maybe there can be a conversation, or sitting on the floor and playing jacks and being playful, or just sitting with all the different aspects of a person as they're dealing with some different personality styles that they've used, that have come to them for coping, and having them all come into the room, and we're just going to sit on the floor and we're going to hang out and we're going to all have a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would say that my own work, the psychodrama, the drama therapy, the puppetry, because uh, learning to be a clinician helps the clinician. And yet what I've also realized is I don't want to use my work to help me heal with a client. And I think that can be a danger.
Yes. You needed to do your own work
Absolutely.
first.
Absolutely.
And what helped you personally the most?
I'm a Gemini. I needed a whole bunch of different things. So it was truly the psychodrama and the role play and being able to play. I would say not always having to walk around. I used to walk around with this very kind of theatrical voice, and getting rid of that, getting rid of the personification of what I thought an actor was or what I thought a professional was, and letting it all like float away, melt. Stories, myths became so important, and clay.
Yeah, to work with the hands.
Yes. So to kind of backtrack, if you don't mind, for a moment, okay. So when I became agoraphobic, I couldn't walk outside. Like, I was afraid of my shadow. And there was a pottery studio 3 blocks away, and I managed to get to this pottery studio. And I had the most amazing teacher. Now, this is New York. No one gives you a key to their studio, but she gave me a key to the studio. And I would say that probably in hindsight, that is really what helped me the most, because she said to me, "You have this key, you go in here, and anytime you want." And I never mentioned anything about what was going on, but she must have mapped it in me. And she said, "But this is our deal. You cannot keep anything that you make for the next year. And all I want you to do is cut the piece in half, and I want you to look at the walls. And I want you to see what the walls look like. And when your walls are sturdy and thin, then I want you to let me know." And it took about a year. And I cut every piece, and I looked at the walls, and it was really a reflection of my soul. That now my walls were sturdy. They didn't have to be so buoyant and thick. And they could have parts that were thin and parts that were thicker. And the whole metaphor of clay, that you take something that is like mud and dirt, and it's a blob, and within minutes, when you gain the skill, you have something. And what in life can you actually create something that has a body and looks like a form in minutes? But clay does that.
from a scientific perspective
Yeah.
now. I can relate to the play and working with the hand and using the left, right,
Yes.
brain sides.
Yeah.
What's your understanding of the science behind creativity and creative work?
I think that the creative reminds us who we are. It's primal. If you look ancestrally, you look at the caves, what did they do? They drew.
Mm.
They had they told whole stories with bodies and images and languages that we didn't understand. And I think that is where we come from. If we look at the animal world, look at what they create. Look at the beauty of a nest. Look at how a bird will go and they will find all the different characteristics of that nest, and that nest is binding and holds and contains the not only the egg but the birthing and then the letting go. So creativity is part of, yes, the left brain, the right brain, m- m- but it's a it's part of the experience of life.
And somehow the innocent, to create something innocent without judgment.
No judgment.
Yeah,
No, it's pure.
it's pure.
And
Like childish,
like,
pure.
sure, there can be a giggle, there can be a laugh, there can be, I can't believe I'm really cutting this piece of pottery in half once again, and it's like, and then it's like I'm not holding on to it either.
Yes.
So it is the experience of creating and letting go, and creating and letting go, and perhaps within the madness of it, it is. You might need your madness, but how can you have it and also let it go and still have you? Because maybe we need some part of our madness. Yes.
It's also important when we do role plays and masking and
Oh, yes, yes. So the masking. So when I'm doing groups, I have these beautiful like plaster masks, and sometimes we'll actually make the mask on everyone's face, but it's a big ask, and the group has to feel internally safe enough to do this, because it can be uncomfortable to have that on the face, and that can be a whole warm up to a psychodrama, and just the experience of having, because it can feel almost like deathing, not that you're suffocating, but that something is tightening around you, and you can feel the manifestation of that tightening, but you take it off, and then you smooth it, and you write different things on it or draw on it, and it becomes part of your the externalization of that which is held inside, and when that happens, it's magic. And the emotions that are right there, they all of a sudden they have a place, and they're welcome, and you're welcoming them first as the person experiencing this, but there's not a judgment. There's there's wonder. Like, I didn't know that grief would be on that side, and that anger would be on that side, but that right here, there would be voice. I didn't know that. So why don't we bring them all into the room? And that can be one-on-one or in a group.
Yeah, I like the wonder. It does not have good or bad.
No.
It is just awe for
It's
what is.
awe. It's
Yeah.
awe. Yeah. And when you can get to awe, you can get to agency. And when you can get to your own agency, it's like, it doesn't belong to anybody but me. And no one can take that away from me. It's not up for grabs. You can't take it away, because I got it. It's mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
What type of clients do you work with today?
My referral base tends to be from clinicians who don't know what to do. And it's usually around someone who's come in with either complicated grief that's now that there's a traumatic imprint that starts to come up that's not just about the loss of the loved one, kind of replicating my story. But I would say that overall, and it's not a concept, it's an experience, that the people I see have an amnesia of love. They can't remember it, they don't hold it. And that is as a result of that traumatic imprint. It is as a result of their grief. Might be the loss of a loved one, but it might be because of a sexually traumatic predatory event or developmental experience, not being wanted, or walking with the shame in utero that they don't know what it is. And it has affected their learning. It has affected their drive. It has affected their passion. And that's who I'm working with now. These folks who they're not thriving the way they know they can. They can't feel their children. They don't. They know they love them, and when they're gone or have left the room, their partners have left the room, or their teachers, or they don't remember it. And the minute it's gone, there's like there's a desperation, there's a starvation, there's a hunger, there's a yearning, there's a grief.
Yes.
And they're held captive by it. And it's the internal captive that I work with, and I help people find their language around liberation. And I actually use I borrowed Chris Voss, who he works in hostage negotiation strategies, but the work of negotiating with the hostage, I've taken because that captive, that prisoner within, needs to be liberated, and so I begin with this liberation protocol, I'm calling it, where we start with embodied curiosity and listening, and just like the questions you're asking, we're asking our bodies, we're asking our souls, we're asking our psyches and our minds and our spirituality. And instead of putting the conversation away or not looking, we're beginning to unmask and maybe creating a mask for whatever we're unmasking.
Yes. You have touched with the term grief now on multiple topics. How do you define grief? What's your understanding of it?
When I refer to grief, I see it as a hunger for a part of the self that is not full, not filled up. It's an emptiness. It's the inability to feel saturated, to feel embodied. It is a loss and a yearning for that which feels you can't get back. And that's how I describe it. It's a yearning for that which you cannot retrieve. And you think, if I only do, fill in the blanks, whatever that is, if I only do this, but you can't go back.
Yes.
So it is the grief of understanding, like, once I cut that piece of pottery in half, I couldn't mend it, but I could learn from it. So what do you learn from what you lost? And I'm using this kind of body language because what you lost can be moved forward and say, how are you my teacher? Because grief can be one of your greatest teachers, in that it forces you to, if you choose to, and I say it forces you because it just keeps knocking, and it when it's not listened to, it turns into anger, agitation. I mean, there's many different phases of grief, and nonlinear.
Mhm.
They come in at any time, and they're just startling, painful,
Mhm.
unexplainable, often with no words, deprecating to an aliveness.
Yeah.
And the goal is to remember what aliveness might have felt for you if you ever felt it, and not making an assumption that you have, and being able to then imagine, and maybe starting with the puppet or a mask or psychodrama or music or being on the floor and playing with the
Mhm.
ball,
Mhm.
and tapping into energy and life force, because grief feels like a- an absence of life
Mhm.
or the life force.
So grief is not just losing a loved one,
No,
it's also losing
self.
something of ourselves.
That's exactly
Do
right.
you have examples what this could be, for example?
So yeah, so we have identities, right?
Mhm.
Like you have many different, identities. But if we were to break up the identities, there's personal identity.
Mhm.
That is how you think, how who you are as an individual.
Mhm.
Then there's your social identity, who you are to the world.
Mhm.
And then there's your sexual identity. And when there's been a traumatic imprint,
Mhm.
there's grief. And if there's been a predatory or event or a developmental hit, then then this kind of sexual grief occurs. But
Mhm.
it's not sexual in that it's about sex. It's about
Mhm.
the driver that drives us, that allows that personal identity to come up and be alive and say, this is what I like.
Mhm.
This is what I love to smell,
Mhm.
or wow, that book was just delicious, and this is why. And it's your passion, it's your urges of the self, and then the social and the sense of community,
Mhm.
and the wanting to socialize or not. I mean, you can certainly be an ambivert, and be an introvert and an extrovert, and be a little bit of
Mhm.
both, but that's who you are socially, and that's
Yeah.
great. And then your sexual identity, it being able to know
Mhm.
yourself and know not only your desires or what you want, what you like from an intimate perspective, but also that passion can be visceral
Mhm.
and can be sensual and can be intimate without it involving anyone.
Mhm.
And to be able to have that conversation with the self is in some part of the personal identity, and it also stands alone. And when there's a hit that's combined with mm, the grief and abuses
Mhm.
and and experiences that happen to some folks in their first sexual
Mhm.
experience, where it's not good. It's not a good sexual experience.
Yeah.
It failed. And then we're living in a world of social media now, and so what's happening is that terrible sexual experience is
Mhm.
it's talked about and shared,
Mhm.
and there's humiliation and loathing, and it's an integrated loathing. And so that's developmental, because it's
Mhm.
normal to have that first sexual experience. But how it affects you
Mhm.
and how you then live with it can affect you until you either mm, work with it or on it.
Yeah.
But some people don't and can't. They don't have the agency or the money or the community support for it.
Mhm.
And also culturally, I mean,
Mhm.
different cultures will accept or not accept
Mhm.
getting help.
Yeah, that's important. When you mentioned when your first husband died, you couldn't find proper help.
No.
to process your grief. Today is a different situation.
I
It
think so.
has come along. There are a lot of information available,
That's right.
therapeutic options. How do you see the development happened in the last decades?
I think it took us a long time. We can certainly look at the history of grief, but grief, if we just look at death, that death and deathing was part of the community. And so sociologically it was in the home. You know, we were in the community when someone died. The children all gathered. Actually, little girls had if they had like little cribs for their dolls, oftentimes those cribs were coffins. It was a way of helping
The
them.
process, yeah.
Yes. So that when we cleaned that up and we wanted to sterilize grief, I think that, or death, and mourning, and we took it out of the community, and it was like, okay, so we have the wake, and we celebrate a life, or whatever one's culture, however one's culture celebrates the life of someone, that it's kind of like it's done, and we don't think. And again, like some cultures, the women will wear black for the rest of their lives,
Yeah.
okay? But it doesn't mean that they're being attended to. And it doesn't mean that they're being heard. But I think that because of the wars that have occurred, because of our social structures, because of our education and the way that we are getting educated, there's been a greater ability to get the information out there and to form a collective and to say, oh my gosh, okay, so you had that experience too, and we've got death cafes, and we've got many different perspectives on what grief is and how to talk about it, and no one's right and no one's wrong. It's just getting it out there. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, frankly, when she did her studies on how what are the stages that people go through when they die, that opened up a conversation. Some people, think that, oh well, that's what we go through when we grieve, but not. I think that part of what she lined out was a little more linear. Not that it can't be nonlinear, but it was like, this is where you begin and this is where you end, with like a closure. And I'm not one for closure, but because it meant to me that I wouldn't, oh, so it's over.
Yes.
And I didn't want it to be over in that way for me within my soul. And I don't want to forget. I just want to remember peacefully. And that's what I want to do. I want to remember peacefully over and over and over again. And so there's less shame, or there's less stigma, really, about I'm grieving, and there's been greater studies and research and papers and peer-reviewed papers, which gets it out.
Yes. Is there today a sort of a blueprint for grieving treatment?
Yes and no. I don't mean to be so non-committal in my response, because everyone's blueprint, internal blueprint, is so different. So there might be a container for the idea of what might be in the blueprint to exist, and then however one is experiencing their grief, to be able to create an individual blueprint based on the grief that one is experiencing. So I have these 11 phases, and there could have probably been 20, because it is so nonlinear. And I am constantly changing the languaging. Like my first phase, I call it emotional armor, because I think that's where we all go. We go to that emotional armor phase it's our protection, and it's numbness. But I used to say hysteria.
Yeah.
I don't use that word anymore. I don't. It's like, it's more like you're, you know, you're more dysphoric. You're more dislodged rather than hysterical. You know, I don't really talk about denial as much as resistance. And on the other side of resistance is resilience. So within emotional armor, you've got, the marriage of these different experiences. So that blueprint might be that if you're numb, great. And if you're feeling that sense of resistance to what has happened, what you've lost, the person that you've loved and lost, or the part of the self that you've lost, maybe never even known to love, that that the resistance in the work needs to be honored and given voice. And I might call it resistance, and that might be part of the blueprint. But what will you call it? And what is your languaging around it? Because my languaging isn't going to be your languaging. Maybe my languaging can give you an entry point to who you are, so that your personal identity, social identity, sexual identity is in your voice, not mine. I give the prompts, and then you take it. And then those neural pathways and the right brain and the left brain and the creative spirit of, well, this is my word. Oh, super. So walk with that word. And if it stops working, then let's go find another word. And maybe it's not a word, maybe it's music. Maybe your emotional armor is I have a client right now, and what they do when they're in their emotional armor phase, because I see that phase as the place that you go back to time and time again, every time you reach another plateau in your growth, and that the emotional armor is your respite. Oh, you're in emotional armor. That's great. What happened before you got there?
Yes.
So it's very cyclical. It's very, and I see it as that dance. And so this person I'm working with, when they leave work, they listen to heavy metal, and that's their emotional armor. And so I want to know what you're listening to. So it's not words, it's music, or maybe it's art, or maybe it's wrapping bands around so you can feel something, because you're numb right now in this moment.
I understand it's very individual. Also, not to label words and
Yeah.
activities.
Yes. So that it is, and yet the blueprint is, I've again taken out certain words like closure.
Yes.
I'm not. I talk about integration because I see it as an integration of that which you've lost.
Yes. The question for me is now, if we look at the severely abused man or female,
Yes.
how do they usually overcome their trauma and become sensual and find their sexuality again?
Well, they first need to want to.
Mm.
I won't make the assumption that they want to. And that's the emotional armor. And they may want to live there because that is what feels the safest. And by the time, though, if they're coming in to therapy, let's say, okay, then I don't want to know their story yet, but I do want to know where they want to land, what their hope is, what they dream, what they imagine, what would thriving look like for them, what would embodied curiosity be?
Mhm.
And to join them in their, empathy from a clinician. As a clinician, I first want to feel you.
Mhm.
And so if I, as the clinician, am feeling that you're afraid, I'm gonna stop you.
Mhm.
And that can actually create a vector for, you stop me? You didn't want me to continue? No one's ever stopped me before.
Mhm.
And that's where the embodied curiosity begins. And that's where, you did it differently. You didn't just sit here listening to my story.
Mhm.
You did it differently. Wow.
Mhm.
You mean you don't want to hear my story? No. Why not?
Mhm.
Because you've told it so many times that you're
Yes.
probably not hearing it. And if you're not hearing it, then I'm not going to hear it. So can we not tell your story yet, please?
Yes. Yeah, well, we see this a lot.
Yeah.
They like to repeat and
Yeah.
repeat themselves and
So
talk to
what did you
everyone.
just actually say?
Yeah.
Because I didn't really hear it,
Mhm.
and I want to.
Mhm.
So let's get up and walk.
Yeah.
And let me just walk with you.
Mm.
And if you want to put your hand on my back, it's okay. And if I have permission, I'd like to put my hand on your back, if that's okay. And if not, that's okay too. And let's just walk and breathe.
Mhm.
And we'll walk back and forth. And maybe I have clay, and I'll have them walk with clay
Mhm.
and just feel it, because what's curious about clay is that it can start wet, but it dries the more you play with it, and it can have cracks and crevices, and then I can use the clay and it
Yes.
becomes an embodiment, or they have something, whether it's a ball, something, if they want it or not.
Mhm.
And so, how do you get someone to their to understand the sexual grief of their natural response, because sexual grief is a natural response to either a predatory event or a developmental hit, like we've been talking about, and it holds you captive. And so what I see is, I've got someone in my office who's a prisoner,
Yes.
and so they don't know how to get the key, and they don't know how to fly with their heart. And so that's where the amnesia of love is. But if I interrupt them and say, no, stop, that's actually a loving gesture.
Mhm.
They might not call it that. And it is,
Mhm.
because I'm noticing that they've been telling that story for a mighty long time.
Yeah. Edie, is there anything else close to your heart you would like to share or talk about today?
I would like to just talk about the importance of story,
Mm.
if I may.
Yes.
And um, I love stories, and I love children's books.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite children's books to read to my clients and to groups is There's a Monster at the End of This Book. And Grover's like, oh my God, I can't get to the end of this book because there's going to be a monster at the end of this book. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And then at the end of the book, oh no, we reached the end of this book. And it's like, oh, it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And that we might have those monsters that live within us.
Yeah.
But when we see them and we are no longer blind to them, then they lose their power.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to that calibration.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love myth. I love the archetype. I love the idea that we must go into the inmost cave and grapple with our shadows, and that we can do so and come out, and we're forever changed. And we still have the grief or the loss, but we look the same, we walk the same, but we have a new lens,
Yeah.
and the possibility and the hope that that lens can happen.
Hmm. And the power of stories is seeing oneself in others as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And
So I love the story of The Wizard of Oz. It is
mhm,
one of my most favorite stories because she grapples with the archetypes of the brain and the
mm,
heart and courage.
mhm.
And in order for her own maturation, she had to meet those three aspects
Yes.
of herself in order to understand the power of her own maturation and the power of the shoes, so
Mhm,
that she could go back home, having gone to her inmost cave, and be forever changed. And now going into her womanhood and as a survivalist, naked and
mm.
afraid, and being alive.
And you make adults read these children's books?
I read them to them
Okay.
sometimes
Yeah.
on the floor, or if I'm on a Zoom, I'll take it
Mhm.
up.
Beautiful.
And because I think it's a wonderful way in
Mhm,
to something that is so primal
mhm,
and playful and loving, and it helps us remember.
mm. What do you do in your private life to stay in balance?
I exercise a lot. I go
Mhm,
for long walks, mostly meditative. I
mhm,
can't sit in meditation. It creates a chaos within
yeah.
me, but my
You
walking,
walk.
yeah, I
Mm,
walk. Um, and I read, I write,
mm,
uh, I play. I'm very playful. And the play can just be like my husband and I dance in the kitchen,
mhm.
and I
Beautiful.
love dancing, and moving my body is it's essential. It's just
Yes.
essential. Uh, and I love going to the theater. I for a long time I couldn't because I left it, but I love going to the theater, and I love experiencing new things and
Yeah.
people, and being creative. My clay, I'm still working with clay
Mhm,
and jewelry and drawing, so
mhm. You do
that's
this
what I
by
do.
yourself, for yourself?
Usually by myself. Yeah, usually walking, not necessarily by myself.
Mm,
Sometimes I'm with people.
mhm.
But I warn them, if they're going to walk with me, they'd better walk at my pace.
So you're
So my
a
walk
quick
is,
walker.
yes. But I'm learning how to stroll. I'm learning that's it's a good lesson, and so
Mhm.
there's new thing called Japanese walking, where you stroll and then you fast walk and
Yes.
then you stroll, and I'm learning to stroll and be okay with the
Yes.
strolling.
The walking reminded me of my wife and myself. So we go quite often also just to have a walk with the dogs together.
Yeah,
And she has a very, very um, fast-paced walk.
yeah.
And when I walk, I'm mindful. I walk slowly, and she's always so quick. Let's slow down.
Right.
I'm taller than her. I have
Uh-huh.
bigger legs, but yeah. But this is also where we need to calibrate in
That's
life.
exactly right.
Whenever we are connected with others, we have to calibrate. But we forget often when we get older, we get more in this tunnel
The tunnel
uh,
vision, and it's
vision.
like, no, this is the way I walk. It's the only way I walk, and
Yes.
that's it. And I'm the same way with, like, I have had to adjust, or I've
Mhm.
chosen. It's a choice. I don't have to
Yes.
do anything, but chosen to adjust. Like, we are late eaters. I should have been born in Europe,
Mhm.
because 8, 9 o'clock we're sitting down, probably because of just
That's
practicing
early
work.
for Spain.
Right? And it's like, we have friends and they like to eat at 6:30, and
Mhm.
I associate 6:30 eating to aging, and it's like, no, I don't want to eat at 6:30. But it's like, okay, sure, we'll just regulate ourselves, and we just will skip a meal and we'll be hungry and it will
Yeah.
be our lunch dinner and that's fine.
Yes.
Because we'd rather be social than stick to
Yeah.
what we eat at 9,
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, the
Yeah.
adjustments and the courtesies and the
Mm-hmm.
kindnesses
Mm-hmm.
for community.
Yeah, so we don't get stuck in our
Yes.
minds, in our routines, and our routines are nice and good, and we should embrace what we do, but
That's right.
it's also we live in connection.
That's right. We live
Yeah.
in connection
Yeah.
and we need our rituals. The rituals are important and yet they can be stretched
Mm,
and reframed
yeah,
and reboundaried and
exactly.
yeah, right? I know.
If you could speak to everyone in the world, tell every individual person one wisdom, something they should implement in their life, what would that be?
That within you there is magic
Mm-hmm.
and you do have the ability to tap into it, to nourish it,
Mm-hmm.
and to show it to the world if you want, or to contain it if you want. But it belongs to you.
Mm-hmm.
So honor it. And it can be part of your aliveness,
Mm-hmm.
however that looks for you.
Beautiful.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing all your wisdom or part of your wisdom probably today with us. I think what I will take with me is we are allowed to play, we are allowed to be creative, we are allowed to be primal again and not just function and play the dance of life.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for being here, taking the time. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you, Edie. Thank you
so much. I did too.